Welcome back to Tidy Up Texan, or welcome if you're new. I'm Nicole, and we're back in my office for part two of organizing the chaos, transforming my office to a guest room. We started off with emptying out all of my inventory, organizing the closets, and started arranging the furniture. So I plan to transfer all of my inventory into boxes and using the bins to store things that I want to keep. But as of right now, I don't have any boxes. But I do need a few of these bins, so I'm going to start condensing some of these so I can go back into the closet and start organizing the things that I'm storing in that closet for now. And once I'm done organizing the closet, the fun stuff begins. I'm going to be playing with the arrangement in the room, hanging up some curtains, and putting the final touches. And you guys, I am so pleased with the results. It came out so much better than I imagined. But as for the inventory, I decided that I am going to just store everything for our future garage sale. Brian and I discussed when the weather cools down, we are going to head down to the warehouse and start getting that organized and preparing for a huge garage sale in the spring. I was hoping to get the hallway completely cleared out, but the nearest major hardware store that would carry boxes is over an hour away. So I decided I'm just going to wait until our next trip into town to start packing everything up, which is not a big deal because we really don't use this hallway. If you are new here, I want to welcome you. I am fairly new to YouTube. I started this channel back in December. I am a mom of two grown sons. I am a former professional carpet cleaner, and now I am a disabled homemaker due to several back injuries. So everything I do is in small increments. So I really have to be mindful of how much I do. So although with the magic of editing, you don't see all the breaks I have to take. For instance, this haul was the first task, and then I had to take a long break to rest my back before I head back into this room and start the next task. And as for our household, my kids are back in our home state of California. My youngest, who is 18 now, does come and visit us twice a year for a few weeks at a time. We have myself, Ryan, the love of my life, and his sister Morgan, and we have a temporary guest who is renting one of the guest rooms, which used to be Morgan's room. We have a plethora of animals. Ryan and I have 3 dogs and 4 cats. Morgan has also 3 dogs and 3 cats, and our guest has 1 dog, 1 cat. We originally bought this house with my mother-in-law, who has recently passed away. My mother-in-law was disabled and in a wheelchair and occupied the master on the main floor. So since her passing, Morgan has taken over her old room. So most of the furniture you see in here is Morgan's, with the exception of the bed, and she is still in the process of making room for the rest of her stuff that she left upstairs. And although her new room is quite a bit larger than her last room, we also have a 2-bedroom apartment in the warehouse, which we had designated for her, but we had a huge storm and the roof blew off and completely destroyed the apartment. So not only does she have things in the upstairs bedroom, but she also has an apartment full of things that she's trying to transfer into her new room. So for now, I'm just using what she has left upstairs to stage this guest room. So right now I'm transferring all of Ryan's things into a bin. I'll be transferring as much as I can of my office supplies into a couple of bins, and I'm also going to declutter a few things. So if you're somebody like me who has physical limitations due to injuries or illnesses, anxiety, or even ADHD, I always say do what you can when you can. I knew in this room I would have to split it up into many different tasks, working in small, manageable sections. In last week's video, I pushed a little further than my body would allow, and boy, did I have to pay for it. I was pretty much down and out for 4 days. But once I got started in here and started to see all the progress, I had a hard time finding a stopping point. So this time, I'm really listening to my body and taking more breaks than I did last time. And as you'll see from my wardrobe change, this was not done in one day. I apologize for all the barking and howling in the background. Our new guest dog is still adjusting to his new surroundings, and I know he hears all the commotion I'm making. So he's been beside himself for this whole video, so I apologize for that. I'm trying to get as much of my office supplies as I can in these two bins. A lot of this stuff is small odds and ends, which I will eventually need to go through, but that is a lot more tedious, and I'm not trying to do all that. So this closet here, we do want to keep it as storage for things that we want easy access to. And if you saw part one, you know the other closet has all of Morgan's stuff, which will be removed eventually. So that closet will be for our family and friends to use when they come to visit. All right, moving on to the luggage. I do travel quite often, but since they started charging for carry-on, and Ryan and I don't really travel at the same time due to all of our animals, we don't really need two luggages anymore. And one of them's pretty beat up anyways, so that one I am decluttering. In this other suitcase, I have a backpack that is well loved and it is time to let go of. And as for our travel bags, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the suitcase. We mostly use the travel bags for our road trips. And I just went on a road trip with my son last month, so I have a couple more bags I need to add to that suitcase. I have a bunch of packing supplies I'm just not sure what to do with, so I'm going to go ahead and store them in here for now. I may just add them to the stuff that we're going to sell, but we shall see. We are just about done with this closet. I have a few valuable and fragile items I need to store in here to keep away from the animals. I do plan to send these items to a consignment store. The nearest consignment store is a couple hours away, but I need to get the proper packing material before I take them that far away. And the last thing I need to do in this closet is to declutter some of these boxes. All right, this closet is finally organized. Everything is easy to find and the access removed. We are making progress, guys. And this is all the stuff that I am decluttering from the closet and will be going straight to the trash. And now we're going to move on to the dormer window, this small awkward hall. It's very narrow and I wasn't sure what to do with it. It just seemed too small to put furniture, but I decided I'm going to try out the little bookshelves around the room and see if it will fit, which will help clear up some space in the actual room because right now the room is visually very cluttered and it's driving me crazy. It turns out these bookshelves are perfect for this little haul. And as you can see from the pink bookshelf, Morgan has been coming up here and starting to remove her things. And I'm hoping for her, because she has severe ADHD, by separating all the furniture, it will make it easier for her to go through her stuff little at a time and not be so overwhelmed seeing all of her stuff clumped all into one area, making the transition a lot easier. So there's only two places I could put this bed, along that wall and then under the window. And I was hoping by putting the bed along the wall, it would create more walking space, but I hate it. And as you can see, I put the mattress from the Murphy bed downstairs on here temporarily. And this mattress is extremely comfortable, but I still need to get a much thicker mattress for this bed. It is just way too low to the ground. So over time, I'm going to be purchasing a new mattress, a nightstand, probably a little round table and chair, and maybe a tall dresser for this room. But again, I am just using what we have for now. That already feels so much better. I don't really like having the bed under the window because we are in Texas and the weather can be really scary, especially when we have hail and tornado threats. But I don't anticipate any of our guests staying during those times of the year, so I think I can overlook it this time. Now that I've got the furniture mostly put where I want it, it's starting to feel so much more peaceful and calm in here. But when I tried moving the lamp over here, it just started feeling heavy again. So that will not be staying in that corner. But before I decide where I'm going to put it, I'm going to install some drapes. Unfortunately, I didn't have a rod that went across the entire window. The rods and the drapes that I'm using used to be in my mother-in-law's room. They're not in terrible shape, but they do need to be replaced eventually. But for the time being, they'll work for now. In hindsight, I should have grabbed the ladder to install these drapes because the step stool just wasn't cutting it. So although I was able to install one side of the drapes, I needed to call Ryan to come up and help me with the second set of drapes. I was trying to decide where I should put this rod, making it completely decorative where it's just going to cover the sides of the window, or try to get it to where I can close the drapes as best as I can with having two rods. And I decided I'm going to go ahead and install it to where I can close the drapes as best I can because it gets really, really hot in this room when the sun shines in. Once I started putting the drapes up on this side and then tried to start on the next side, I decided, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. So I called Ryan up and had him install the rest. And unlike most husbands, my husband, he loves to be part of my videos, but he can be quite inappropriate. So I don't allow him to be in my videos very often. But he is the opposite of me. He is very, very outgoing, has zero filter, and loves to lovingly antagonize me. But in the future, we are planning to do a channel together. And because of his sparkling personality, he will be the star of the show. But once I get to the point of being monetized on this channel, because I do not have an income whatsoever, I don't collect disability, and I am no longer in my resale business. But once I'm able to contribute more financially, Ryan and I want to start a new resale business together and be able to document our journey here on YouTube. But again, I am still new at this. I am not monetized, and I know it's going to take a couple of years for me to get to the position where we can do this. But yeah, that is one of our plans for the future, where he will be the star of the show. I was trying to get him to make this as level as possible, and it did not come out that way the first time. The left side was way too high, but not to worry, it got fixed. We finally got it figured out, and I am very pleased with the drapes so far. So now I can move on to organizing the rest of the clutter, figuring out where I should put everything, and still make this room feel inviting. And as you can see, the windowsill and the pink nightstand had a lot going on. I had to play around with the decor a little bit before I landed on what felt right. We had some internet boxes in the windowsill, so I'm just going to move those over and hide them behind the curtain. And after pondering for a while what I should do with that tall pink lamp, I decided I'm going to add it with the bookshelves. And while I was over here, I wanted to organize this pink bookshelf a little bit better than it is now. But everything on this bookshelf seemed like it was broken. There wasn't much on here anymore, so we're just going to tidy it up a little. All right, I think this section is fully complete. But once Morgan comes back in here and takes this stuff out, I have decided that I'm going to purchase a small desk or a makeup station. And I think that will give my guests a place to get ready or be able to work in that space. But let's move on to this bed. Another item I do need to purchase is new bedding. But I do have an extra blanket that belongs on my bed. It is for a king size bed, but oddly enough, it fits perfectly on this bed. I feel like these days the beds are getting bigger, but the bedding is not. The blankets barely drape over the top mattress, where I feel like it used to drape over not only the mattress, but the box spring. Do any of you have this problem? Because unless it's custom made, it's just not fitting right anymore. This bookshelf is packed full of stuff and it is super overwhelming for me, so I'm going to clear it off as best I can. I'm not going to take everything off, but I want to make it look more intentional. But as I'm taking everything off, I'm putting it in categories, like items with like items. That way, when I start putting things back, I have a better idea of where I want to set everything or where it will fit. So this bookshelf, I have one identical to it in my room. I use mine as a dresser, but if you've never seen one, the left side of the shelves go all the way back to the back of the wall, and the shelves on the right butt up against the shelves on the left. And in this top left shelf is packed full of little boxes of figurines. So I'm going to organize that a little better and just take out the things that don't belong. The books on the bottom look like they are yearbooks, and they are much too tall for this shelf, so I'm going to stack them as nicely as I can, and eventually I end up pushing them all the way back and putting another set of books in front of it. I wasn't sure what was on the bottom shelf prior, but there was a lot of dirt down there, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and clean it. The rest of the shelf wasn't too bad, but I thought, what the heck, I'll just clean that too. So who here is into collectibles and decor? Because this girl here has a mountain full of decor and collectibles, and I am not exaggerating when I say a mountain. We have a 3,600 square foot warehouse, and I would say about 40% of our warehouse is filled with decor and collectibles. But I give her a tiny bit of grace because not all of it was hers. A lot of it was inherited from her grandmother, but it is beyond obsessive. But I think she's finally at a breaking point where she is getting rid of a lot of her collectibles and is willing to get rid of a lot of her grandmother's decor. As you can see, I'm trying to keep as many like items together and try not to overcrowd each shelf. But easier said than done when you have so much stuff. But as you can see, it takes a lot of tinkering to be able to get it to where it flows nicely. There was a few items that wouldn't fit inside the shelves, so I'm going to do my best to arrange it to where it looks as intentional as possible. And on the last shelf, we are going to put the remainder of the books, and then that will be all she wrote. All right, we are finally done. If you remember in part one what we started with, the room was filled wall to wall and almost from floor to ceiling. We had all of my inventory in here, office supplies, things we were storing in here, and then we had to empty out Morgan's room and temporarily store it in my office, which resulted in chaos. You can barely walk in here. But then we started clearing out the room, permanently removing all of my inventory, and start staging this room as a guest room. We made so much progress, slowly transforming the chaos to calm. But I am so proud of the final result, and I hope that you have enjoyed the process with me. And if you have a chaotic room that you want to transform, I hope that I have inspired you and motivated you to go ahead and get started on your big project. So if you've enjoyed, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. This channel goes nowhere without you, and you are what keeps me going. So I thank you, I love you, and I will see you on the next one. Until next time, bye!